So steady. People who are steady really like pace and consistency. They have a slower, generally a slower way of talking, and they are very focused on the detail of things. So the desire that they are looking for within a relationship, or within a relationship, is relationship. They really want to focus on those that they're working with. Influencers tend to have a broad cross-section of relationships within an organization and outside with their friendship networks too, versus someone who's steady is probably more likely to have a smaller group of people that they hang out with outside of work and potentially inside of work as well. There's very much a trust factor there, where people really want to connect and understand and know the people that they're working with. And once you've won them over, then you'll get into their world. With an influencer, not so much so. An influencer is more likely to trust everyone, and actually if you hurt their feelings, it might be once, it might be twice, and they'll keep coming back for more. And after a few times, maybe, okay, then the trust factor has been damaged and relationship has been potentially decimated. So there's not that need to win them over. And for example, when I am training in face-to-face, I generally start in the steady mode. I make sure that I really connect with people who are more introverted. The way I do that is through my breathing, first of all, is I move it down into the deeper areas of my belly. And once you start breathing from your belly, it's much harder to talk quickly. Then I will tell a story whilst I'm in that mode. And then slowly throughout the story, I start to pick up that pace in order to move back into my dominant styles, which is dominant and influencer. But I've won them over. I find the dominant and the influencer are more likely to wait and be patient for that movement, whereas if you start too fast, then the steady and the compliant, which is the next factor we'll talk about, they tend to, you can leave them behind, which is not fair. It's not going to get you the best result for the training. I want people to get a good return on investment. So it's all about meeting their needs first and bringing them along on the journey. So steady. It's all about pace and consistency. It's all about building those strong relationships. And just like we talked about the trust factor earlier, sometimes the emotion that you see is non-emotion. And it's really hard for you to read what is going on, and that's why it's really important to start off in a mode that is steady if you want to engage them, especially if you're a dominant, because that's where I often see clashes and conflict within an organization occur. So people who, the words that you can use to describe someone who's steady is more detailed focus. They have a lower tolerance of risk. They are generally seen as very warm, genuine, and individuals within the organization, people who you know that you can trust to get the work done. You give them a goal, you set the time frame out that needs to be achieved by, and they will plod along consistently at achieving that at the various paces that they work with. And that might be differentiated by the various profile that they have. If I'm steady and influencer, I probably might have a tendency to work a little bit faster, think more on my feet through talking in an extroverted way, as well as needing that time to process and recover through introversion, versus someone who's steady and compliant, which is the next factor we'll talk about, who will probably really want to take things slower and be more detailed and be that lever of risk, which is really important within an organization as well. So again, before we move on, rate yourself from a 1 to 10. How many of these behavioral factors do you see in your behaviors? And then we'll move on to compliance.